Right, I accidentally partly promised to show the stuff I'd acquired while ill. This is more than that. This includes Christmas presents and a couple of strays and a few other concepts, let's say, which we'll delve into. That sounds really pretentious. Fantastic. So let's consider what we've got here. Well, so I was ill and I've had a poor recovery and had some work to do, shall we say, and that meant I spent a lot of time anaesthetised or recovering from anaesthetic. At one point I wasn't allowed to drive a car for nearly 3 weeks. They should have said you're not allowed to go on eBay as well. So in my boredom and hallucinatory state, delirium, I bought a few things. And obviously Christmas came along and some friends bought me a few things as well, and my loved ones and people who know me well. So I've ended up with this pile. Point one, I'm not going to do them all straight away because I've actually got about 5 or 6 things on the workbench, so to speak, at the moment, and other work-life balance things are getting in the way. So just because we're looking at them now, don't get your hopes up they're all going to happen. You know, I still can't find that sterling. I do not know what I've done with it, and I'm starting to think a big pause might be a healthy thing with that one. So I'll come back with a bit of energy and positivity again. So anyway, let's take this apart and look at the different groups that we've actually got. Oh, let's have a quick scan. There are a lot of AFVs and not quite so many aircraft, but sneaked away is my first helicopter. We'll come back to that and why it's the first and what was going wrong there. So I will break this down into different groups now. So we will make a start with Christmas presents from loved ones and friends and loved ones, and we'll make a start with this, the Hawker Demon, and I was saying to my mate that I think it is a beautiful aircraft, and Airfix did a really good job of it in the old days, and so on. And so he took note and he got one of these, and as a bit of a joke, because we were talking about how this blister pack signalled the beginning and the end, didn't it? So I have no qualms, despite how I don't care how old this is, no qualms in making that one. I do not see it as a precious artifact. You may disagree. So there we go. Then, remember I made that, what did I make? I made the Sheridan tank, the 172nd Airfix, the oldie. Well, then I kicked off and I started talking about what other ones I'd like to make. I've always been fascinated by this one, and my mate went online and got this. Goodness knows how old it is. Absolutely bashed about, creaky, and at some point or other it cost £22.95. Who's it by? AFV Club, so it's not that old. And then I bought myself this. Yeah, well, you know what it's like when people getting you aftershave and ties and socks. So yeah, I've gone a bit Sheridan mad. There we go. Says it all. Have we got a price on this one? No. That would have been interesting. I know nothing about the company or anything, so we'll see how that goes. What do we have here? Oh, advertising other items. Marvellous. Collect the set. I'm sure that's what it says in foreign graphology. Then somebody got me this, because I was saying how I like the Focke-Wulf. I have made an Airfix 172nd of these. I do not have a problem in making more. Thank you, lovely. That one, very important to me, because my dad, back in the early 1960s, worked at the company making these. but he didn't get on with his boss, so he told him to stuff it. My dad's one of the finest engineers in the world, I would say, because he's you know, he's got, I was going to say certificates, he has credentials to prove it, so they missed out there, prats. I do not have his skills or patience, not something that was inherited, sadly. You probably noticed that from your model making. So yeah, there's that, but he loves the aircraft. He also worked on gliders for D-Day when he was something like 14. Then there's this. I was saying, oh, I made this when I was a kid, and I just thought, it's a vehicle, but I'll get it, give it a go. I was bowled over by it. Fantastic looking beast. So somebody got me that. Good old Tamiya. And I don't think the box art has changed or anything. Same goes for this, but to my horror, it is a reworked version. And this is what we were talking about, because my mate got the reworked version and he was disappointed, so he bought me one so I could be disappointed as well, because it's been completely reworked and it lacks the beautiful, almost naive simplicity, and it's now been upgraded and it's all fiddly, and guess what, it's got multiple part tracks, but I think you still get the fellas. Me and my mate who bought me this would love to get our hands on the original, the simple, decent, unembellished, joyous little model. And as a kid, probably about 12, I first encountered this, maybe 11, and I couldn't believe anybody had the genius to come up with a tracked vehicle with a motorcycle front wheel. It's the beginning of your quad bike, isn't it? My lovely wife got me this because I've been waffling on about it. Simple as that. We will come back to that one in the near future. And again, this has been reworked, but I don't think that'll be a problem. Although the gold foil issue, we'll talk about that later when we come round to making it. Then me and a mate were talking about what an incredible aircraft that was, what an incredible model it was, and he managed to get me the red stripe version, and he actually got it, pardon the noise, he got it for me a very long time ago, and he's hung on to it for the right moment. Not truly a Christmas present, it was a recovering from illness present, which is wonderful of him. And I opened it up, and I'll do it now, and I was transported back. Look at that pale blue plastic. Look at that. It is untouched. And so, to the relief of many and the horror of others, I'm not going to make it. That is a time capsule, unlike the blister pack that we saw. And I'm going to keep that till the day I die, and I'm going to open it maybe once or twice a year and be transported. This is what it's all about for me in the end. Airfix brought me into that world, and Airfix had an aura about them at the time that is unrivaled, and there it lies. Somebody else on my death can make it if they wish. Anyway, I was waffling on about how weird British interwar tank design was, and another mate got me this. And what more can you say, really? Vickers Medium Tank Mark II. What a contraption. What a profile. What were they thinking? What did those cows think? It's just... I love experimentation. That's why I'm a bit bored of tanks these days, because they've got it right now, haven't they? And so they all look a bit the same. There's very few people going rogue and doing weird contraptions. I don't think anybody is going to come up with a contraption like this. Marvellous. Hobby Boss. Have I made a Hobby Boss? Don't know. I know the name. Very, very familiar. I don't know if I've actually done one. So, something to look forward to. Woohoo. the first rival to my brand loyalty to Airfix, or actually Aurora, I think, really, maybe Tamiya. But my first real challenge, the one that really made me think, oh, hang on, this is a totally different way of doing things, and this is good, was ESCI. Because really, you can look at Tamiya and just go, yeah, they're competing, they're doing excellent stuff, da 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 da. But ESCI were coming out of a totally different world, and they took on totally different topics like this. Matchbox realised the same, and they didn't compete with Airfix so much as contrast, in my view. Of course they're competing, everybody's competing, but, and I went online and I bought myself a bunch of ESCIs for nostalgic purposes, because they're really good. I know they've been absorbed and reworked by Revell, isn't it? But that's not the point. The point is these beauties. The Tamiya-esque white box, the markings and camouflage stuff on the back, marvellous. Oops, small invasion from a small child. I should have shown that, shouldn't I? Next time he comes along, we'll interview him. So, yes, this. The interesting thing is, I started buying ESCI stuff around about the same time Airfix produced their little books. Can't quite remember what they were called. I've still got at least one, if not two. And the key one was German tanks and armoured fighting vehicles or something. A slender volume which is, to me, something of a Bible. And that introduced me to the basics of the chronology of the inventive world of Second World War German tank design. And so I think that pushed me over the brink a little into daring to buy other manufacturers more frequently, and ESCI were the ones that I just found myself unable to resist. They were producing that and that and that, not in the German range, and on we go. Just a little note, this one, obviously the later, much later, but look, it's still, let's see if I can do this, it's still in the foil. Fantastic. I'm, on all of them, I'm a little bit dubious as to whether to make them or not. I so want to make that one, but I was looking on, obviously I got these off eBay when I was not well, largely. Those two I didn't. And I couldn't believe how expensive they are now. And I got these two only a couple of years ago, and they were pennies. Suddenly, including postage and packaging, they're 30 quid and that type. Now I know you can get them in other places, and you can go to fairs and all sorts, and you can negotiate and bargain. That's not the point. Just look at how the market has changed, and there were almost none of this type. So suddenly they also have become an artifact. And it would be criminal at this stage to pull the foil off, wouldn't it? So all of these are going on the shelf. The fact that I've got loads of other models means they're just on the shelf while I and ah about it. But this is another one that I largely bought it for the box and the box art, and again the nostalgia. Look how old it is, look how faded it is. Got a feeling this might have been in a shop window. There it is with the grid over the top, which I'd completely forgotten. And then I thought, well, I absolutely love the gun, love the vehicle. Tamiya do a slightly different version, the one with the 4 barrels and slightly different vehicle and all of that. Let's not get technical right now. Let's try and get the box lid off. See you in a minute. And then I opened it up and I was once again transported. It's hard to see through all the polythene bag, but this also is a time capsule. The seller on eBay kindly added a bit of bubble wrap, which I think was handy because the box is a little bit weak, but my goodness, that one's going on the shelf for a while. We'll reconsider. Argue amongst yourselves in the comments below. Argue seems a bit rude. Perhaps I meant discuss, converse, exchange views. At which point I think we'll draw this half to a close and say that's the end of part 1, and we'll have a part 2 which will go off into other tangents, older purchases, older objects, and a bit of box art discussion, I think. And we will kind of conclude with part 2 shortly. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all your kind comments during my illness. It's very helpful in recovery, and things are getting better indeed. So I'm happy about that, believe me. So it only leaves me to say thank you for watching. Do stick with us, and I'll be back shortly, all being well. And we'll, as I say, we'll go on for part 2. So thanks, and I'm rambling now. I was going to say something else and I've forgotten. I will let you all go. Cheers. See you soon. Bye bye.